The NBA's biggest scandal wasn't a player, it was the refs. From rigged games and secret punishments to hidden perks and rules fans never hear about, the truth behind the whistle is wilder than you think. Here are 10 shocking secrets about NBA referees. And we have to start with scripted games. The NBA's darkest officiating scandal came in 2007 with Tim Donaghy. He admitted to betting on games he officiated and giving inside information to gamblers. Even worse, he claims certain games were influenced to favor star players, extend playoff series, or help big market teams. The most infamous example is the 2002 Western Conference Finals. Game 6 between the Lakers and Kings turned into one of the most controversial nights in league history. The Lakers attempted 27 free throws in the fourth quarter alone. Shaquille O'Neal later called it disgusting, and Sacramento fans still call it theft. Donaghy later alleged that officials were pressured to extend the series to Game 7, which the Lakers ultimately won. But 27 free throws? Here, I'm only asking for one. Hit that subscribe button for me. I'd greatly appreciate it. But the fallout was seismic. The FBI launched an investigation and revealed Donaghy had bet on dozens of games across 4 seasons, using his knowledge of referee assignments and player relationships to predict outcomes. He confessed to feeding gamblers inside information, like which refs had grudges against certain players or which ones were more likely to call technical fouls. In 2008, Donaghy was sentenced to 15 months in federal prison for wire fraud and conspiracy. The league scrambled to repair its image, creating the Replay Center, implementing stricter background checks, and issuing public statements denying widespread corruption. But the damage was done. Even mainstream outlets like the New York Times and ESPN ran headlines that shook fans' trust in the NBA's integrity. And to this day, every time a playoff whistle feels one-sided, scripted trends on social media. For fans, the Donaghy saga was proof that the people with whistles could shape history as much as the players with a ball. And if you thought that was shocking, wait until you hear what refs aren't even allowed to say. NBA referees live under strict rules of silence. After games, coaches and players can rant to reporters, but refs? They're gagged. Explaining a foul call in the wrong way, even casually, can earn a fine or suspension. The league enforces this silence to preserve the image of impartiality. Referees sign confidentiality clauses that ban them from revealing instant replay conversations, grading reports, or even details from internal meetings. That's why after a controversial whistle, you almost never hear directly from the refs. Instead, the league releases last 2-minute reports, watered-down summaries that analyze a handful of plays in close games. Fans want answers. Coaches demand accountability. But the NBA has decided that referees' voices only create more controversy. So the gag order remains. Imagine a playoff game swinging on a phantom foul, and the only explanation you get is a vague memo the next day. That's the invisible rulebook in action. Refs are everywhere during the game, but silent once it's over. Silence is one thing, but imagine being graded on every single decision you make. Every call, non-call, and whistle is logged, reviewed, and graded. After each game, NBA evaluators break down film to track referee accuracy. Was the reach and foul legit? Did the defender establish position before the charge? Even a missed out of bounds is documented. These grades directly impact careers. High marks earn playoff assignments, which not only pay more but also build reputations. Poor scores can mean getting left out of the postseason rotation. Salaries reflect the divide. Rookie refs earn around $250,000, while veterans at the top of the ladder can clear $550,000. The difference comes down to consistency and evaluations. There's no escape either. Even judgment calls, the kind that could go either way, are marked right or wrong. Imagine knowing that millions of fans are already ripping your decision, and now your bosses will too. Unlike players who can redeem themselves with points or rebounds, refs only have one currency: accuracy. Perfection is the expectation, and every mistake leaves a paper trail that follows them for the rest of the season. And when those grades slip, the punishment doesn't always happen on the floor. Players get ejected in front of cameras, but referees face discipline behind closed doors. The NBA quietly hands out fines, suspensions, or missed assignments for conduct violations, and most of the time, fans never hear about it. Some referees have been punished for inappropriate text, unprofessional conduct, or even questionable friendships. Posting on social media about games is off limits. Associating with gamblers is strictly banned. Even criticizing the league in private can lead to consequences. When these punishments happen, the NBA often hides behind vague statements like violating league policy. A ref could miss weeks of games and the public would never know why. Without a union as strong as the players, referees have little leverage. They're kept under tight control, with careers sometimes derailed over mistakes that happen off the court. So while we're busy yelling at missed calls, some referees are more worried about what the league office is about to do to them in silence. Of course, not every bias comes from bad behavior. Sometimes the crowd itself takes over. Every fan swears the refs favor the home team, and the numbers back it up. Studies have shown home teams consistently getting more free throws and more borderline calls. It isn't conspiracy, it's human psychology. Crowd noise is a powerful influence. A deafening roar can subconsciously push referees toward a decision that satisfies the arena. Utah, Boston, and Golden State have long been called whistle-friendly home courts for this reason. Visiting players complain about it, but it's nearly impossible to prove bias when the calls are technically judgment-based. The NBA has tried to neutralize this with technology, like replay reviews and centralized officiating hubs, but psychology can't be erased with cameras. Home teams still win about 60% of NBA games, a number too high to explain by talent alone. Refs are trained to resist, but under the weight of thousands of screaming fans, neutrality isn't always easy. Sometimes the crowd really is the sixth man. But while the crowd can sway a call, the league makes sure refs get something in return. Refereeing in the NBA comes with more than a paycheck. Officials get top-tier travel accommodations, meal stipends, and sometimes even housing assistance during long assignments. On brutal back-to-back nights, they're occasionally flown on private charters to ensure they arrived rested. Beyond that, there are bonuses. Refs who grade well don't just get playoff games, they earn financial incentives tied to their performance. It's not just accuracy that counts. Evaluators also reward referees for game management, which means keeping tempers in check, preventing fights, and managing tense environments. Think about it. Ejecting a superstar in the finals without causing a meltdown? That's a skill the NBA values highly. The perks aren't publicized, but they help explain why referees stick around for decades. Behind every whistle is a career cushion with benefits most fans never see. Those perks come with a price: secret meetings that quietly reshape the entire game. Every summer and mid-season, referees gather at private camps where the NBA quietly rewrites how the game will feel. These meetings are closed to fans, media, and even coaches. Inside, refs review tape, run simulations, and rehearse enforcement of specific rules. This is where the league decides its points of emphasis. One year it's cracking down on hand checking, another year it's punishing flopping. Sometimes it's redefining traveling or adjusting what counts as a gather step. The actual rulebook rarely changes, but the interpretation of it does. That's why each season feels slightly different. A move that was fine in April might suddenly be a turnover in November. Coaches scramble to figure out the new standard, but referees have already been trained months earlier. It's one of the NBA's quiet levers of control, steering the flow of the game without ever rewriting the rulebook. And once the season begins, refs have to play a different game, hiding their emotions. Fans see referees as robotic, but that's by design. If an official shows too much emotion, rolling eyes at a coach, snapping back at a player, or throwing up exaggerated gestures, it gets logged as unprofessional. The NBA doesn't announce these penalties, but evaluators monitor referee demeanor just as much as accuracy. A ref who looks biased on TV, even unintentionally, can lose playoff assignments. The league wants refs to project calm authority at all times, even when 20,000 fans are screaming insults in their faces. It's one of the hardest parts of the job. Imagine reffing LeBron or Luka in the postseason while every possession is life or death. Players can vent their frustrations. Refs can't. Their emotions must be buried because even one visible slip could damage the credibility of the entire game. But controlling emotions isn't the only challenge. Sometimes real life gets in the way. Refs are meant to be neutral, but life doesn't stop at the arena doors. Some have spouses working in team front offices, others went to college with players or share old business ties with agents. The NBA tries to track and prevent these conflicts. Officials must disclose personal connections, and assignments can be shifted if something looks suspicious. But not every overlap is caught. That's what made the Donaghy scandal so dangerous. It started with personal associations that spiraled into corruption. Today, referees are banned from gambling on sports, and even casual friendships with people tied to betting can raise red flags. Still, the question lingers. Can refs ever truly be 100% impartial? The NBA says yes, but fans know that in a world full of connections, neutrality isn't always that simple. And if that wasn't enough, there are rules so strict they can end a career overnight. There are rules for referees that almost never get enforced, but they hang over every official like a storm cloud. For example, refs are forbidden from associating with anyone under league investigation. That includes gamblers, banned agents, and even certain players. The rulebook gives the NBA power. If a referee's behavior ever raises suspicion, the league doesn't need to prove corruption, just an association. That alone can be enough to remove them. Few fans know these rules exist, but referees live under them constantly. Even their personal lives are monitored. A casual dinner with the wrong person could end a career. It's the final reminder of just how controlled referees really are. On the court, their whistle decides everything. Off the court, the league decides them. The next time you see a whistle blow in the final seconds of a close game, remember, referees aren't just making one decision. They're carrying the weight of grading reports, secret punishments, hidden perks, and rules most fans never hear about. They look like nameless figures and stripes, but behind the whistle lies a world of pressure, secrecy, and stakes as high as the game themselves.